Let's get into this.
Into the future.
It's Back to the Futures.
Now maybe we could place a couple bets.
Oh, yes. Future bets over here. Could go in a lot of different directions. Win totals, Heisman, who's going to win a championship, who's going to be in the playoffs, all kinds of good stuff. Now, Rich, I'll let you explain the rules because I think it'll sound much easier if you do it.
Okay. I think it's relatively easy, and if it isn't, we could just update people throughout the season on what our futures bets were. But we each pick 5 futures we love season long, and then throughout the season, we can offer each other cash outs. Here's the one rule. You got to put $100 or 100 fictitious dollars on each one of these bets, right? And so you start with a bankroll of $500, and throughout the season, we can maybe talk you out of going the full season if something's performing really well. Or maybe we can beg for a cash out ourselves at some point. And whoever has the highest bankroll at the end of the season wins.
Okay, Rich, you want to start us off here?
Yeah, sure. All right. I am going to start you off with my national champion. I got Alabama to win it all at plus 600. A Nick Saban-led team always has a chance. There's no such thing as a down year in Tuscaloosa. I like Roll Tide there. Jordan Travis, we already talked about this last week. His Heisman odds are astronomical, and there's great value there because we know this is narrative-driven and obviously win-driven. I think they're going to win a lot of games at Florida State this year. So I got Jordan Travis at plus 1,200. The Chiefs winning the Super Bowl because who else is going to win it at plus 600? I'm going to go Patriots over their 7.5 win total at plus 125.
Okay.
And then I'm taking the Jets over their win total at 9.5 at minus 125.
But, Jared, we'll go with you, man. What are your 5 futures bets that you're thinking of?
I can start with the UTEP Miners. I mentioned them a little bit earlier in the show. They play Jacksonville State tonight. Their win total is 5.5. I really, really like this UTEP team. It's probably my favorite win total on the board in college football. They returned 15 total starters off a team that won 5 games last year. And Gavin Hardison, I think, is going to have a little bit of an easier time at quarterback. Got hurt, didn't play the final 2 games. UTEP's offensive line, again, Hardison in front of him has arguably the best offensive line in Conference USA, the second best defensive line according to Phil Steele. And keep an eye on Deion Hankins. Second-team All-Conference last year. I think he has a big season this year. The other college football win total I really like is Oregon State over 8 wins. Their non-conference schedule is a cinch. They will start 3-0 as long as they can beat Rich's Aztecs, which I think is the toughest of those 3 non-conference games. But then we get into Pac-12 play, and they've got kind of an easier road where they don't have to go on the road and face a lot of these tough teams. And if DJU can figure out whatever ailed him at Clemson, oh, man. The rest of this Oregon State team's legit. Their offensive line, defensive line, one of the best in the Pac-12 last year. They had the best overall defense in the conference, one of the few teams in the Pac-12 that actually likes to play D. NFL, the 3 teams that I'm betting on in the NFL this year, I'm betting 2 overs and 1 under. The Steelers over 8.5 wins. I really think Pittsburgh is ready to roll. I think Kenny Pickett's undervalued, and I think the offensive line, again, is as strong as any unit in football. We know how good the defense is. We know how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is. 16 consecutive years without a losing season. I think they make it 17. I think they go over 8.5 wins. Panthers under 7.5 regular season wins. I don't really like the vibe I see in Carolina right now, especially up front, protecting Bryce Young. He is going to have a tough time early in his career with the pieces they have in front of him. And then finally, this is Brian and I's dueling battle this year. The Green Bay Packers over 7.5 regular season wins. I love Jordan Love. What can I say? The rest of the team, I think, is legit. They've got a fantastic defense, great secondary. The offensive line's one of the best. And if Jordan Love plays above expectation, I think the Packers go way over the win total. So I'll give them to you one more time. UTEP over 5.5 wins, minus 115. Oregon State over 8 wins, minus 120. Steelers over 8.5 wins, minus 140. Panthers under 7.5 wins, minus 110. Packers over 7.5 wins, minus 120.
All right, I'm going all season win totals as well. I might sift through and pick a long shot, but time is of the essence. You know what I mean? And so we're going with strong plays, not huge payouts, but I think solid plays. I'll give you my 3 overs and my 2 unders to follow. I like over 6.5 for the Rams. I think they're completely undervalued. I think we're just going off of what we saw last season. It was a disaster, but it was fueled by a rash of injuries. But you have your three core players in Stafford, Kupp, and Aaron Donald all hurt, missed extensive time. I think they're blessed with better health this season, and getting to 7 wins, I don't think that's too high of a bar for them to reach. I love the Rams over 6.5. I love the Cowboys over 9.5. Goodness, that roster is so loaded that Dak Prescott missed 5 games, threw a ton of interceptions when he was in there, and they still won 12 games. That is not a loaded conference. I'm taking the Cowboys to at least get to 10 wins. And not homering out here, I see 10 wins at least for the Dolphins. You get Vic Fangio in there to coach up the defense. I love his schemes. It's being mimicked throughout most of football, what he's been able to do. And then I think that Tua hopefully remains upright. That's the wild card here. But without him remaining upright last season, they still got to 9-8. I think it's going to be a track meet with those playmakers on the outside and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and coupled with a defense that once they get, Jalen Ramsey back healthy around Christmas, which is a huge loss, I still think that Vic Fangio is going to make a big difference. Give me the Dolphins over 9.5. The unders, I'll go to college football. I'm going with Nebraska under 6. That's at plus money. It's at plus 130. I think Matt Rule will turn things around, but I don't think right away. Wow. That is not a deep team whatsoever. And when I get plus money, I don't see Nebraska getting to 7 wins. So I'm thinking worst case scenario, we push. I like the under at plus money because that could absolutely hit coming off a 4-8 season. So give me under 6 for the Cornhuskers, and then saving the best for last. I don't love Love. I do not. Not in 2023. I am down on Jordan Love. I don't think he hits the ground running. You had Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back MVP, take a noticeable step back last season. Might have had something to do with a bunch of young guys all around him in terms of who he's throwing to. Not named Devontae Adams. Jordan Love in his 83 career passing attempts in the NFL. He's not going to hit the ground running. It's an underperforming defense. And so you're going to play like the Patriots. It's going to be run the ball primarily, mix in the pass, rely on your defense. That, to me, with the way the schedule lays out, I don't like how it sets up for the Packers. Some big road tests, some primetime games. They have 6 primetime games. Like they're going to be good or something. So some of these road games, like the Raiders, that's a favorable matchup. That's a Monday night road game. That might not even be a W. So I've got under 7.5 for the Packers. Those are my future plays.